Oh boy, live.
Live. We're live.
Let's lower this a little. Lower, 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 lower. Oh, that looks very nice.
It's MTV now. Whoa, people are getting seasick at home. All right.
Oh man, reminds me of that time I was going to Ireland from Wales in a tiny boat. And
Sloshing around.
and it was really a rough day. Hey, give us a thumbs up if you can hear us. We're just testing out our microphone setup here. Just gonna move that nice and close. All right.
I can hear it. I can hear it.
Hear it good? Hear it good. Okay.
Oh, looks like Matt Budd's watching. I just saw Matt's on there.
Hey, Matt.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Can you
You got
see me?
Neil's watching, Matt's watching, Greg's watching. Hey, Matt. High five.
Can I do one of these?
High five.
So can I have what do they call it? A confidence thing? Oh, so now I can see. What's that? Oh, that's not in real time.
Nope. Nope.
So I gotta be like way down here.
Yeah, here. We'll zoom up. We'll zoom up for Rich. There's Rich. There's MusicMedic.
Oh, my glasses need to be cleaned. All right.
Yes.
So, are we ready? Are you ready?
I think so. Let's do this. Let's rock and or roll. Here we are. Slightly delayed. Give you the countdown. So.
What do we got? We got a few. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wait. Save it. Go to commercial.
Go to commercial. Uh-oh. Killing time.
What I'm going to do, Ryan, is set up our press here. This has got a different die set in here. Go to commercial.
Setting up the press.
Is this? Oh, I see. Okay. I'm going to set this press up to do rivets and domed resonators. Does that sound good?
That sounds good.
Okay.
I'll give it a thumbs up from behind the camera.
Nice.
I got
Let me
Resos.
just thread this in here. Today we're going to talk about Resos, and we get a lot of questions about what type of Reso to use.
A lot of questions.
What's the difference in the sound? Does shape make a difference? Does it matter to the customer? What do I do if I have, a shop that's primarily working on school instruments, and I get a customer who wants a custom set? And what about oversizing? So that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. I'm setting up the pad press here so I can do a couple of resonators, and I just put the wrong die set on there. Oh wait, no I didn't.
It's live TV, folks. Anything can happen. Anything can and will.
Anything can and so we're not going to use this general pressing die, and we're not going to use the centering punch because we're not going to be making any 4mm. Well, we might. Let me keep that handy if I want to put a plastic reso on. And actually, how's that look? That looks pretty good. How's everybody doing out there? I've got a screen set up here.
Got a screen. Here's Rich checking the screen.
Okay.
It's not happening in real time.
Now, what we're going to give away today is this. Wow, this thing looks nice.
Wow, that is.
Has he been tumbling these?
I think so. Rick's in love with our tumbler.
We've been machining our own rivet punch for a long time now, and this is better. Well, we did a pad video and installing Resonator video a little while back, and we used our rivet punch.
Yeah.
And since then, we've started tumbling some of our tools, and
super smooth.
That is, it's like a baby's bottom.
Here, bring that closer. Bring it closer. Not too close. There we go. Oh, that's it. Looks nice.
Nice work, Rick. That's spectacular, actually. So we're going to give one of these away for those of you who have a mallet or hammer set up, and you like to use the old Phillips head screwdriver style.
Old school,
punch.
caveman style.
Well, we've got, this is our upgrade. So have we shared this video around? Did you share it around?
We should have people share. Share, people. Share. Share to the. Is there a pad group on Facebook?
Share it
Sax
to every
Podcast?
group. Share it to your high school class.
I did that.
reunion
I
page.
did. I know you've done it, Rich. Yes, I've shared it to my high school class of '98. Go Wildcats! So they know all about the Wildcats. Who are we? The Wildcats.
And
So-
just before we get started with our Reso talk, I also want to
Oh.
give everybody a product
Look at that.
update for how does this look in the.
It's very. We can see your hands. It's clear. We can see it very
Pretty
clearly.
sweet. So one of the things that we've got a laser here, and we started cutting some materials, and we went with acrylic for our pad tone hole checker set. So we were using a different style of plastic, and this one is easy to cut on the laser. According
Cut
to
it with a
Rick.
laser, people. What more do you need?
Yeah, we're not. We're
Yeah.
not cutting this out with like a saw. Or
We
anything. This
whittled
is-
it from a larger stand.
This is, it's got this nice little, we're working on our Wilmington logo and kind of propagating that through all of our products. And so that's just a little product update. So these are updated on the site. And if you haven't got the tone hole checker set yet, that's what it's going to look like.
Now's
when
your
you
chance. There it is.
Okay, let's talk about some resonators. Now, we had gotten questions about what is the main function of a resonator, and I think it's a safe answer to say is the function of a resonator is, some people will say it's to resonate, but others will say it's to hold the pad leather tight. That's kind of our philosophy. Any good resonator will have some sort of rim on it that holds the pad leather tight. So a no resonator pad can get a little pillowy. I don't know, can they see that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So if you're, so when you're installing a pad, if it does have a resonator, you're going to have a more consistent installation with something. Can they see that? So
Oh yeah.
you want a resonator that has a rim that's going to hold the pad leather tight and be a more consistent installation. So that's the primary function of those, in our opinion. Do you have any comments about that, Ryan? 'Cause
Yeah, I would agree with that as well. It does. I found when a lot of vintage horns just have a pad and then just a rivet. It is a little bit tougher to get a consistent seal on those because the pad is so, like you said, pillowy and fluffy. Here with these Resos, especially, the flatter ones, tend to hold that pad leather a little bit more taut. So it tends to be a little bit more accurate as far as pad seat and pad seal.
And so here's one of those dome metal resonators. This is primarily, these are the Selmer style. This is what we make and sell. And what's cool about our resonators versus some of our pad competitors is that these are made of brass and then they're stamped and nickel plated. So they're plated after they're stamped. So there's no I don't know if they can see that.
It's tough to focus, yeah, but
There's no rim of brass and nickel. It's all nickel. So sometimes in the past you've had DMRs that have rusted. These won't rust. And speaking of rust-free, the flat metal resonators that we have, where do I need to put that?
Put it right there. There you go. Keep
So
them
our
resting.
flat metal resonators are stainless steel. And so if you have a customer who is requesting a flat metal resonator, these will work just fine. We put these in a lot of cons.
We do. We find a lot of cons. I put them in Martins as well. It's just a nice look to have that nice, clean, flat metal resonator. And it is, being flat, it does keep that leather a little bit more taut.
And so with the stainless steel Reso, you've got a one-piece brass body, nickel-plated rivet, solid head rivet, a stainless Reso, and so these are also going to be rust-free.
Perfect. Yeah.
And what else do I have rust-free? All of our Maestros.
The plastic ones.
Well,
Oh, of course.
these
I
are
mean,
weatherproof.
Yeah.
Let's put in a plastic Reso. Plastic Reso is going to be your typical, any student horn coming out of Asia right now. It has a plastic
Reso. Yeah. Very common Reso. Probably what a lot of shops will mainly stock is the plastic Resos.
And so what I see is, I see student shops or shops that are mainly working on school instruments. There's me punching a 4
So
millimeter
that was
hole.
quick. That was quick work. You made quick work of that, Rich.
Let me get I'll turn that anvil the other way. There's a couple of different ways that you can do this. I'm going to use the flat side of that. But a lot of shops will stock a plastic resonator pad and then, or a dome metal resonator pad or no Reso. And the plastic resonator pads or the plastic resonators that we have a 4 millimeter shank on the inside, and they have this little brass nubbin.
Yep, there's the nubbin.
That you can drop on the floor if you're not careful. What's nice about this is normally you would hit this with a mallet or something to install, but with the pad press, I can just
press it in.
Put that in, and it's all done.
Yeah.
So these resonators are something that you might consider stocking on your shop or stocking in your shop, and then I know that with a lot of customers that we have, they will maybe stock a no resonator pad like this, or have a plastic resonator, which I think Selmer made kind of popular back in the day. And what you have is an option. You don't. I find that a lot of shops doing schoolwork aren't stocking every size or type of resonator. But if you do get a customer who comes in and wants like a specialty Reso, a lot of folks will just get a pad set, or they might stock a few resonators, and if you want to do custom sizing, this tool makes it fast and easy to install. So I know that Selmer had a reusable domed resonator, like the 6s back in the day had a reusable metal resonator. We do get requests for the Resotech resonators, which I think still exist.
Yes, very popular.
Darren's
They're more of
Resos.
the kind of the flat, seamless, and they are reusable. They do have a kind of a screw backing a lot of times, like the old Selmer ones.
I had them installed. I think on a Series 2. I thought they were great.
Yeah, they're great
look
Resos.
cool, and,
Yep.
I know that manufacturing them has been an interesting topic for us to talk about when we're talking R&D. Let's look at the comments. Do we have anybody?
Yeah, we got quite a bit of people watching here. Chad asked, is that the one I ordered Monday? I'm assuming he's talking about the tone hole checkers. Yes, you will get this. This
Nice.
one right here, very nice. Let's see. Glad to hear the Resos are stainless. They're in all the horns I've done. Can you comment on how they keep the back of the pad flat rather than creating a concave to the back? Yes. Unlike the seamless domes that tend to kind of, and you can see it here a little bit with this, how it kind of sucked it in. Sometimes those seamless dome, if you over tighten this rivet, it'll make this pad go from this to this. It'll suck it in. The flat metal Resos are nice because they just kind of keep the flatness.
The flatness. And a lot of that has to do with rivet, the shank length, right?
Correct.
So like if you have a rivet, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but if you have a capped eyelet, this is actually a solid head rivet that it took us a long time to get this straight. But if you have a rivet that's a little too short, then it's not going to grip the back of the cardboard so much, and then it also may pull the cardboard backing in toward itself, and that's when you're going to get the doming. And I think our seamless domes had a rivet that was a little too short.
It was a little too short. Yeah, there's a tendency, to over tighten them, especially, so that made it doubly as worse.
And that can crimp the cardboard, and it can crimp it can also crimp the leather right here, and which makes it, it may make it unusable to install. So if you're finding that, and when you're installing them, check your rivet length. Here's a couple of Maestros, and I know, because another question that we had is, does the shape, size and shape make a difference in sound? I don't have like a definitive answer as to the sound difference between like a dome metal resonator and a Maestro Classic and a Maestro Air Tight.
Yeah.
I do know that the Air Tight design is a good idea because the airtight design is going to be similar to a dome metal resonator in that you've got a, can they see that all right?
Yeah, you can bring it a little bit closer. But yeah.
You've got a rim on the Maestros that is going to hold the pad leather taut, just like the DMRs, whereas when you've got these Maestro Classics, which I think these are also called Noyex or
Used to be called, yeah.
Starburst,
I'm
Star,
sure.
or
Waffles, I'm sure. Crinkle cut. Who knows?
you know, this is like a state fair.
It is. Yeah, hungry for funnel cakes.
Oh man, I haven't had a funnel cake in 3 shakes of a lamb's tail. So these have the potential to leak a little air, and there's varying opinions as to, you know, does that matter or not. I kind of feel like it's better to just go with the airtight and have the pad leather be taut, because that's a concrete thing that you can
Exactly.
measure as you're installing. So these are our Maestro Air Tights. Here's a couple of different finishes. So in terms of shape, it's good to have something that seals against the pad. In terms of material, did I do a gold one yet? Let me do a gold one.
I don't think so, yeah.
This is kind of a popular combination, a gold resonator on the chocolate brown.
Very nice looking, yeah. Nice contrast. There you go.
So there we go. There's that. So we've got a couple of different materials here. We've got a silver-plated brass, solid copper, and then a gold-plated brass. And I put the wrong. That should be a different
nickel.
rivet.
Yeah, that's going to change the sound.
But as far as do these different materials make a difference in sound, I mean, I don't know.
It's one of those things. There's a lot of people talk about, you know, if you got a silver horn, use silver Resos. If you got a gold-plated horn, use, you know, it's the material doesn't really matter so much. At least that's what we tell people when they ask, you know, in the ProShop. We don't. The material is not as important as the diameter in relationship to the pad size and the tone hole. So if you think you have a big pad with just one rivet in it, the sound is going to be absorbed into this pad leather more so than if it had a larger reflective surface. So, you know, we tell people if you want a darker sound, maybe use slightly undersized Resos. If you want a brighter sound, use oversized Resos. As far as the material, it's whatever you like.
Yeah.
It's almost that placebo effect. If you think it has an effect using solid copper Resos, then it will have an effect.
And I think that you know, the gold don't seem to have any. They don't seem to tarnish over time.
Yep, that's a big factor too.
And even though that we put a coat, these are clear coated. I think the copper tend to change over time.
Yeah, they do develop a kind of a natural patina. There he is. There's Rich. But yeah, they do develop kind of a natural patina to them. But like you said, yeah, the gold they don't tend to tarnish. The silver tarnishes a little bit, but you know, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I don't think that a tarnished resonator is going to affect your sound either. No. Okay, so we've got a couple of different. Let's check our comments again too. We got a couple of different.
We got
finishes.
people watching. Any questions on Resos, people? Feel free to fire away. Yeah.
Now the reusable Mark 6 resonators, that is something that I've seen questions about. Like, should I reuse my Mark 6 Resos? You know, is there a more modern resonator that I can use? I think the reusable resonators are just don't we reuse the Maestros?
That is, we do. I have done it on horns that we've Uber hauled here in the shop, and they come back for COAs, and rather than to mess around, what I'll do is I'll just cut out and reuse the Reso. I'll use obviously a new rivet, but this is perfectly good. You could reuse those, you know, and that way there's no change in the sound. If the customer really likes that bright, edgy sound and he's using oversized Resos, I'll just cut those out and reuse them.
Now, what about the when we talk about oversize? You know, like how big is too big on a resonator?
A good oversize. I mean, this right here is probably too big. You know, it really has to do with the size of the tone hole. The Reso in relationship to the size of the tone hole. So if it's a smaller tone hole and you use a larger Reso to cover more of that surface, it's going to reflect a lot more of the sound. This would probably be, in my opinion, way too big.
So like if you get a Yamaha pad set and you say, hey, I want all the 24.5s to be oversized. Well, when you get to that A key or the bis key or whichever one where that
Absolutely,
tone
yeah,
hole is
smaller
too
size
small.
tone hole, but same size pad. Yeah, you run into some trouble. So when we size Resos, when we're doing Uber hauls in the ProShop, I will actually take the Reso and see if it can fit inside the tone hole, making sure there's enough space around it.
So what about like the geometry of like the key too? So if the key ends up throwing the pad, I just used the word geometry, danger. So what about like on an E flat key, where I see a lot of guys want to oversize, but then they put this giant resonator on there, and then because of the way the key hits the tone hole, the Reso ends up hitting the tone hole.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Is your pad really should be level and centered over the tone hole. If it's slightly off centered, then you usually do have to end up using a smaller Reso to make sure that the Reso doesn't hit the tone hole. So yeah, always look at that as well. Your like you said, the geometry of that pad cup coming over the tone hole, making sure it's centered.
And I think it's safe to say that it's okay to not oversize,
Right, absolutely.
as like, to be safe.
Absolutely,
You
yeah.
know?
When in doubt, go undersized or what you think is a kind of a comfortable mix.
So, and then let's talk about our seamless domes for a second, because the seamless domes that we have are a brass nickel-plated. They're a smooth convex shape, basically. So they're kind of like your plastic resonator. They're a little more domey, similar to, I don't know, Busher, like the old Busher snaps.
Yep.
And one of the things that we're doing, this is just a product update, we are taking the resonator and we're retooling so that we can have just a little less of a domed shape, and we're going to increase the size of the rivet on the back so you don't have that crimping. I know a couple sizes, the rivet was just too darn short, and because it's welded in there, we were losing some pads on that. So that's a work in progress.
Yeah, we got a couple questions here.
Okay, let's do it.
Yes, Chad asked, does the thickness, weight, or mass of the Reso make an appreciative difference, or is it still just the coverage issue? I personally, myself, don't quote me on this, I think it's more of the size rather than the mass, or even the shape. You have some different shape. This has that kind of waffled starburst pattern. Some are smooth. I really think it's more so of the size of the Reso ratio to the size of the tone hole.
But what about spring tension? I mean, if you've got a super heavy, if you're working in the stacks and you have a super heavy resonator that's made out of lead or something.
That could be something too. Yeah, we have a customer that has a Martin Berry that we've done that to. His low C key is really heavy. So we've done different things like hollowing out the key spine. We've even gone to using a really, really lightweight. In fact, I think we may have used an aluminum flat metal Reso just to give some extra lightness. But that was mainly because of the key was so heavy, not more so of the sound.
Okay. So do you think that a super heavy resonator?
It's very possible. The mass. I mean, they have those mass neck screws and body weights and all this. So I'm not going to say yes or no. I'm not going to confirm nor deny it. But I would be interesting to see. I'm going to do the study. Another question here. Let's see here. Do you have an inexpensive backup washer? Sometimes I find the hole in the pad is too big for the rivet to attach securely.
Yeah.
I mean, you could use this, I believe.
The smallest size flat metal resonator is like what is it? 10 millimeters or something.
I think it's very small.
And so you can use that as a backer. You just have to make sure that your rivet is long enough. So let's try that.
Yeah, here we go. So we got one that's fairly big.
Let's see if I mean, that's kind of crazy.
That is.
You would use the smaller
Right.
FMR or whatever. But wow.
Look at that.
That does.
Okay,
Man, that
all
splitter works pretty darn good.
Interesting, yeah.
And I don't see. The pad looks pretty flat.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Wow.
Double resonated.
That's right. Yeah, double reverb.
Now this also would maybe I've seen this happen in the past. with guys who put something this big on the back, and doesn't that do something? Like, it either makes the pad too heavy or it makes the pad too hard.
It might stiffen up the pad a little bit. It just probably makes it a little bit stiffer. Might make it heavier too. I mean, you're adding, that little extra reso in there.
But like a small, like we have a flat metal resonator that you could use as a washer.
Yeah, more like a washer. It's probably like flute washer size, I would think.
It just
maybe a little bit bigger.
And it has the correct center hole.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Anything else?
I think that's it. Everybody.
Did everybody share it? They need to share this. We're going to give this amazingly high quality rivet punch. This thing is a work of art.
It's almost too good. I almost kind of want to keep it for myself.
Did you share the video, Ryan? Maybe you can.
Maybe I could win it. Am I eligible? Oh my goodness.
Kurt hasn't won a T-shirt yet.
He hasn't. He's got to share it.
Well, share this video around. We're going to take the first person that came up in the comments that shared it. They're going to win the all-new tumbled rivet punch that we have with the flower-style cutter. And if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out to us. And if you have any questions about Resos or stocking Resos, or if you have a particular customer who needs oversize, we can always help you out with that. And I think
that's about it.
I think that's it.
Yeah, that's all it is. Reso.
All right. Until next time.
That's right. He's Rich. I'm Ryan.
Happy repairing.